morning everyone, today we're going to be talking about improving your FPS because recently I did a very inexpensive and small upgrade to my computer which actually stabilized my FPS significantly. But before we talk about that, if you're new to the channel, I upload NGS content daily, so if you do play this game, I would really appreciate a subscribe as it really helps out the channel. Anyway, without further ado, let's begin the video. So the very first thing I want to show you guys is this is B-roll or footage of me just doing a combat zone, doing an urgent quest, and I want you to pay attention to the FPS counter on the top left corner. You can see that it's fluctuating between like 30 to 60 FPS, right? It's going up and down, usually stabilizes at around 40 to 50. However, it's never 60 consistent. So I do cap my FPS at 60, even though I do have a 144Hz monitor. And the reason I cap it at 60 is because my graphics card isn't very powerful. I use a GTX 1060 graphics card and it does the job, but if I try to push it to 144 FPS, it will crumble, burn, and die. So I just leave it at 60 since it never could even reach 60 most of the time. Like 90% of the time, I'm like at 50 or 55 FPS. So I was like, whatever, it's not a big deal. But recently I have upgraded my RAM. This is a ballistic gaming memory, crucial, whatever. It's RAM, okay? It's 16 gigabytes of RAM, which is actually double of the RAM that I used to use. So I used to use this piece of crap. This is a single stick of 8 gigabytes of RAM. I've had this stick of RAM for 6 years and it's never failed me. It's worked fine. But keep in mind that this is a very, very slow piece of RAM. It's a DDR4, so you know, it's okay, but it is 2400 megahertz or whatever you want to call it. So RAM has different types of speeds. So the faster the speed, like the better the performance it does, or there's less latency or something along those lines. I watched a bunch of Linus Tech Tip videos about it, and the TLDR is if you have more sticks of RAM, then things just go faster. There's more highway or more real estate for the computer to think more stuff and make more processes and stuff like that, right? So why does this matter for PSO2? Well, the thing is, especially when you're going to like Central City, you know when you first log in and you get plopped into like the most populated block? So in the past, when I got plopped in, immediately my FPS would tank. I would drop to like 20 FPS, it would be super laggy, and I would just be like, well, crap, I gotta get out of this block ASAP. But ever since I upgraded to 16 gigs of RAM, that doesn't happen. I load in and I have 60 FPS, but it doesn't load in the models yet. So a lot of player models, they just look like the gray little silhouette, but it loads in slowly, but I'm always 60 FPS. So actually, I'm gonna show you that right now because, you know, seeing is believing, right? So we're gonna head over to the Ryuker device and we're gonna teleport to the most populated block and you're gonna see my FPS. So you can see here on the top left, you know, I'm like 58, 56, 57 FPS, but it's not a big deal. And we're just gonna block transfer to block 6 because that's a lot of people there. And boom, we're in the very super populated block. You see it's like 55 FPS, 51, 55, but look how many people there are. Usually when I come in here with this many people, like my computer just straight up dies. It's just like, oh no, too many people can't load. Like if I'm right here with all these people, like this is unheard of. I've never had like any FPS above 50 when I'm in this populated block. It's nuts. And on top of that, that was with AMD FSR on ultra quality. I used to play on quality settings because whenever we did gigantics or we were doing veteran hunting or we were just like running in like a populated block, my FPS would tank on quality settings. I would drop to 20 to 30 FPS and it would just stay there. And it really, really sucked. And now, because I have 16 gigabytes of RAM, suddenly it's fine. And if we look at Task Manager over here, you can see that PSO2 is taking up 3 gigabytes of RAM. However, when it's a populated block or there's a lot of stuff going around, it goes up to like 4 gigabytes of RAM pretty consistently. So I was like, 8 gigs of RAM is fine, right? We still got an extra 4 gigs of buffer. Well, actually, no. You can see right here that I'm consuming 6.8 gigabytes of RAM just on this computer right now. And this computer is running nothing. It's literally literally only running PSO2 because I have a 2 PC setup. So the PC over here is actually doing all the streaming, the encoding, the recording. So this is the PC that's doing all the heavy lifting. This PC is literally just here to run PSO2. And so in conclusion, I just want you guys to know that, hey, if you are running the game with 8 GB of RAM or less, maybe try looking into upgrading it to 16 GB, especially if you can get a dual channel RAM. So depending on your motherboard, when you look at the RAM slots, there will be different colors. So for my motherboard, it's a dual channel one. So I've got like 2 gray slots and 2 black slots, which means that it can support dual channel. And so when buying my 16 GB of RAM, I bought a kit. You can see here it says 16 GB kit, which means it is 2 sticks of 8 GB, but they are compatible with each other. So when I plop them into the motherboard, they kind of talk to each other and they work together to make information go by faster or something. I don't really know the specifics, but definitely look into that, because my original thought was, oh, it's a GTX 1060. It's a very old card, so obviously I'm gonna have crap FPS. And so my initial thought was, I need to upgrade to like a 3060, or I need to upgrade my graphics card. But graphics cards are very expensive nowadays. And well, I don't really fancy spending that much money on a graphics card just to get a little bit of FPS, while buying RAM was very, very inexpensive. I think the 16 GB of RAM that I bought over here was like $25–30. So, you know, comparing to a graphics card, if I buy like a 3060 right now, you're talking about several $100s. So yeah, definitely look into your system and see if you can make any small adjustments to improve the system, because this really caught me off guard. I did not expect upgrading from 8 GB to 16 GB of RAM would make my game this much smoother and this much nicer. Because now I can play at 1080p with ultra quality settings, and it is beautiful. It is really, really nice to just be able to play the game, enjoy all its high fidelity, and not have to sacrifice my FPS without breaking the bank. Special thanks to all the members for supporting the channel. It really means a lot to me. Thank you again. But yeah, that's all I wanted to cover in today's video. Hopefully you guys found it helpful. If you did, I would appreciate a like and a subscribe, and I'll see you guys in tomorrow's video. Bye.
What can I say except you're welcome for the heals, the boosts, the